Hello everyone, welcome back to my channels. And today I'm going to talk about the latest feature of UiPath Apps, which is called Connection in Apps. So, why I'm going to talk about Connection in Apps, and we'll see what are the main features of Connection in Apps, and then why it is very much useful and everything, right? So, when you talk about the UiPath Apps, we are working on UiPath Apps. So, every time what questions comes to us, like when we have a external systems, LOB system, like you can say Dynamic CRM, Oracle, SQLs, or XYZ systems, right? So it's very hard to connect with that, and right, and we are not able to get the response back or push the data from external systems, right? So every time what we have to do, we have to go with automations, whether we have to run UiPath process, and then UiPath process takes their own limit, they have their own limitations because it took some time, and then you have to run that, right? So you know that like UiPath has a biggest kind of things like integration service, and integration service is something which works like a kind of middle layer. It's a kind of I can say like it is more over a kind of middle layer architectures where you have a UiPath apps as a front end, and then in the back end you have a UiPath robot process automations and everything, right? And then where you can write the logics, and then in the front end when it comes for UI you have the UiPath apps. So similarly, integration service is something, it works like a kind of a middle layer architectures where you connect with your front end with the LOB, line of business data. And to connect that, it needs a kind of some things where either you can write your API and something like that. So integration service is also something works like an integration platform as a service, I would say, which is like moreover nowadays what you have to do, either you have to go and use a kind of integration platforms, something called Overcato, MuleSoft, Dale Boomis, and all those things, right? So you don't have to use that because that it may be like additional cost. So now if you talk about UiPath, it has their own capability and capacity for integration service. So by using that integration service, you can make a connections, you can create a trigger points and everything. So what you can do, you can create a connection, and by using that connection, we can work here. So if you see here, UiPath June release like a, it kind of bridge the gap between your app and external services using external integration service connections, right? And then we will see what are the capabilities, unlocking new use cases with external API. I mean, you can build a query builder and you can call your apps with external robust systems, and then you can write rule driven command and control. I mean, you can write your rules just to pass the data from UiPath apps to the external system, or you can get the data. So I mean, I'm saying like a get and post, those kind of operations you can perform here. And then you have some custom connections. I mean, you can build your REST API in .NET or anything, and then you can build your Swagger definitions and everything, and then you can create those Swagger definition and connection, and then you go into integration service and you can build your custom connector, and that custom connector you can use into apps now also, right? So let's go and see here what is the connection in apps, right? It talks what is connection in apps. So connection in apps allows apps to integrate with external third-party systems using integration service. So this connection in the apps will allow, or it's enable you to integrate with your third-party system by using, that's what I said, like by using integration service. I mean, this is a kind of middle layer which will talk with your apps and which will talk with your external systems, right? That is called integrations. So for that, for to do that, use the connection, you must have to be admin, owner, co-authors, and all to use the access of integration service. I mean, make the connection. It's not required to run the application, but just to create a connection and make the connections, you have to be there, right? And conjunction tracks part of integration service. So that is something licensing and all comes the part of differential, which we are not going to talk here. So what are the best practices? Create a connection apps within a personal workspace. It's not allowed within the folders. If you wish to create a shared connection, you can create one from integration service, and then app supports following connectors, and then you can go here. Now what I'm going to try here, like I'm just going to adding a connection to your apps, right? So now what I will do, I will add a connection to your apps and I will show you. So now if you go here, I have a dynamic CRM application. And this in this dynamic CRM uh, application, I have something called lead generation management, where I'm just generating the leads and adding the leads. And every time what we have to do, we have to go to manually and create it. So now I want to automate those process, right? So what I can do, I have created a trial here. So this is my dynamic CRM application. So what you need to do, like, let's go, and I will delete my connections right now here. So what you have to do, you have to go here into integration service, and integration service, you can just go here. Let's go to integration service, and then you have bunch of connectors. So what exactly I'm doing, I'm going here into dynamic CRM, and in dynamic CRM, I'm creating a connection to Microsoft Dynamics CRM 365. So what I'm trying to do, I'm just passing the tenant URL. So what is the tenant URL? So basically this is the tenant URL. You have to just grab the URL till dynamicscrm.com. So what you have to do, you have to go here and create a connection. I will just put this connected. And so right now my user ID and password are already saved. So let's see here my name, user ID, and then I will just create a connection now. So the moment you create a connection, it comes back, right? So now I have a connection here for dynamic CRM. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate a lead capture form. So with autopilot, so using autopilot features, I will say lead capture apps, right? I will say here and just send it. So the moment it send a lead capture into autopilot, it create a connection, data service, and everything, and all the rules. And we'll see how we can connect those here now. So let's let it generate. So once, yeah, so this is generating something into backend, generating the entity and setting up all the rules. Once that done, it will initialize the application. So yeah, entity and setting up all the rules. Okay, so this is done. So what I'm going to do here, apart from that, I'm just going to put the maybe title of the leads. Let's put here something called control, and I will go here and I said, like, I can say put here, I can say something like that. I mean, I can put here like not last name. I will go here and I say lead title, right? And I will just save it. And if we go here, make it bold, and then I say lead title. Okay, just for basic purpose. So now what I will do, I will go into add control. So this is the main things which we have to talk about. So now if you go to your apps, you will see something called connection in your list of features. So now the moment you say connections, what you can do, you can go here and search dynamic CRM. I'm just using dynamic. Okay, so now if I see a dynamic CRM, then if you have multiple connection, you can just use. So my connection is this one. I just go here and add this, right? So the moment I add, you will see a lot of other things. Like here in the left panel, you will see connections, and you will see all the rules and everything. So now if I go here, so what it will generate also, like it generate the rules and it generate the connections and everything. So now if you go to your submit button, in the submit button, right now you see here, this is auto generated through autopilots. Now I see here, put something called Microsoft Dynamics CRM 365. So guys, this is completely work on the REST API. So I mean, whatever method you are seeing here, that is exposed by Dynamics CRM as a REST API. So this connector works just to work on the REST API. So suppose if you have a system where you don't have exposed REST API or anything, so it will not work. So for that, you have to create your object and body, and then all the Swagger definition. So basically, it will work on the your definition, and then your definition will connect with your API and everything, right? So now if you go here and say, hi, I want to create a lead. So the moment I say create lead, So what I can do here, create lead. It create lead is something like a post method, right? So it just get the information and post into dynamic CRM. So what I can do here, last name. So the moment I say last name, I can go here and I say last name and then value, right? So this is my value. So simple. This is very simple. So now this is not required, but let's say first name. I can say here first name value. So what else is required? Topic is required. So let's go here and I pass title. Something like here I can say lead titles, right? And I say hint. Apart from that, do we have anything required? I think no. So there are many things. So when it completed, I can say save so a message, and in the message I can say lead created successfully, and then save it. Now what I'm trying to do, I just want to preview it. Let's see how it works. So now what I will do, I will just run this application and I will try to capture a lead, and then I will try to see whether this lead has to come here. Now let's go and see this. So loading the application now. So let it load. Taking a little bit time. So apart from that, let me go and refresh this meanwhile. And I would say open leads. Yeah, that's cool. Now I'll go to my application. So the moment you load first time, it will ask to create your connection. So I will see what connection you want to use, this one, and run this. So now it is running the application. So let it run. Yeah, so now it runs. So now what I can do, lead title, I can pass first name, last name, and all this information. So what I can say, lead title is like, you can say YouTube video on dynamic CRM, and I can say Arvind Kumar, right? And then I can save it. The moment I save it, it just go and see here lead created successfully. I mean, this has created the lead, and you can see how quickly and how faster it is. For this only, if you have to write a process, it take their own times and all on managements and everything. So now go here and just go and refresh the page. So let's go and see whether it has generated something here into dynamic CRM or not, right? So I want to see that. So now if I go and see my open leads, and you can see here, this is my name, Arvind Kumar, which just created. Yeah. And let's go and see this 1 second. Let it run again. So you can see the all lead was created from dynamic CRM. So now if you see here, my name is Arvind Kumar, and then basically this is the first name and last name. And if I come down, just a second. Suppose I want to create one more, I can say submit. And now if you see here, YouTube video for dynamic CRM. So basically it creates my YouTube video for dynamic CRM. This is the one lead. So now you can see this is very quick, and this is very quick response because you are getting the response backs and everything and very quickly. Now suppose somebody comes and asks whether I want to display this information or something else. So what you can do, once you click, and maybe suppose you want to stay here, output value, right? So output, and I can say text. So what you can do, like set rules, set value, and then you can go here and say variable, app variables, right? Output, and then here you can write a query builder right? You can select a source also here, or you can do anything. Otherwise, what you can do, you can go and write a expression, and you can see here lead info page dot lead dot submit, sorry, this is button, right? Button dot, you can say lead, create lead, right? And then you can see here, you can see the response, what was the response backs and everything. So you can say response dot, and then you can say row response, or you can say value also. Row response will also return, or you can say value dot, you can see what was the created, so account ID. Then it will return you the account ID. Just save it now, right? Now it goes here, and then that's it. So this is all about the creating a connection, and then connection, your apps will talk to your external system and everything. Now let's go and what was the next one. So adding a connection, we have seen this. What you can do, you can just create a connection. Now we are replacing a connection. So how do you want to replace the connection? So it's a very easy. It's like just like a normal entity or anything. So what you have to do, you have to go here, and then you can say replace. The moment you select a replace, you can replace with other connections and everything, and you can select the connection also, something like that. So what you have to do, you have to go to your app and click on the replace connection, left hand hierarchy panel, and select replace, and then you can select from the drop down entity, so your current workspace, and then you can change your replace, and you can replace that. Now using connection into list control. So suppose I have this and I want to use into something called into list method, right? So now what I can do on the front end, I can go and say control, and then I have a control called display control, right? So now if you see a custom list, I just drag and drop here. Not custom list, let me remove this. Let's say I want to show into something called edit create, and drag and drop here. Now I want to make a connection from the list source with your connection integration service. So what you can do, go to your data source, and in data source you can write your expression, or you can go to query builder, and inside a query builder you can select all the generated kind of connection. So now I can select the connections, and you can select what. So this is basically get method, right? So this will bring all the get methods here. So now if I say your lead, right? So I can say leads, get leads, right? So I can say leads here, and then once you selected your source, it will tell you like, do you want to pass any filter, like any fields, where, condition, next page, and all those things, order by, your page size, how much you want to returns, right? So now if you want to write any condition, what exactly you want to bring that, and if you have any additional settings and anything. So now let's go and save it. The moment you will save it, it will generate all the by default kind of entity field here. Now if you go and preview it, so let me go and preview now. So 1 second, let me run this. So the moment you preview, it will load all your data and everything. So I'm loading right now. So now you can see when my apps get loaded, I can see all the records here into list control, right? And this is how you want to play. I mean, this is how you can just go and capture these, and you can play around the data and everything, right? Now the last one, which is something called, something you need to know, using connection in a list control. So once you go in list control, and then something which I was talking expression editor, you can say main page dot table dot selected item fields, and then priority including quotation. I mean, then if you want to return any value to for them from the selected record from the list, you can something write like this one, okay? And then in the change like expression type, if you have something, this one also, and then summary. Okay, now if you go to fact in connection apps, there are some FAQ. What is the difference between shared connection and personal connection? Shared personal connection are configured in personal folder while designing your apps, and you select connection from your personal space, workspace. At runtime, connection becomes unavailable to other users. So when you are using a personal connection, this will be unavailable for any other users. But when you have a shared connection which is reside into shared folder at runtime, you can also use the same connection provided you have access to the shared folder. Okay, how you can get the raw response from the API, that's what I was talking. So now what you can do, you can go to page name, control name, which I said to row control name, and then you can say rule name, and then response dot raw response. So you will get the raw response back once you created the record. Now I can say, can I use the result of connection API rules into bind into table control? Yes, you can do that, something like that. Okay, where do I get more details for individual connectors? So this is also you can see. Okay, so this is all about the integration service and then connection of apps and then how easy now it becomes. So it's a very much kind of one of the key things, like now apps becomes more richer because you can connect with your external system, you can talk with your external system. For this one, now you don't need to build a lot of process, because you don't need to go and buy a lot of unattended or attended kind of license. You don't have to lag on the performance. It's very much kind of a runtime, very quick and everything. Okay, thank you guys, thank you for watching this, and let me know if you have any questions. I will be welcome to help you. Thank you.